Hello, pre-med star. This is Corey. So the top 5 things I wish I would have known before starting med school. Number 1, med school is so much fun. I feel like that's one thing people do not talk about enough is how much fun med school really is. I know me coming into medical school, one of the first things I thought was like, this is going to be 4 years where I pretty much have lost all of my life. And there's going to be no fun associated with it. And so I kind of came in, it's like, okay, for these 4 years, Corey, you're not going to have fun. Just understand that and just be okay. But once I got in, I learned very quickly. It was actually, before we started med school, we had this retreat where all the med students kind of get together and we all kind of just have fun, party, and get to know each other. And just being there, I kind of knew that med school is going to be a lot of fun. And then just starting in the first year, I just realized that I actually probably have more fun in med school, partied more in med school than I actually did in undergrad, which is very surprising. But don't get me wrong, we put in a lot of work, but that's one thing I really didn't think I was going to be able to do is have the amount of fun that I am having. And so I really believe that going into medical school, knowing that medical school will be fun if you make it fun, just make sure you don't isolate yourself and make sure you have a good balance, and medical school will go so much easier. Okay, so the number 2 thing is the MCAT does not necessarily determine how you would do in medical school. And so one big thing that a lot of people think, or even medical schools will say, is the reason why they take the MCAT so seriously because the MCAT will predict how you do in medical school and also how you do on the USMLE exam. And that's something I took to heart, and that was something I was really discouraged about because I took the MCAT 3 times and neither time did I do well in the MCAT. So I was thinking, okay, I'm going to be in the bottom of my class, I'm going to be struggling, there's no way I'm going to be able to be the doctor I want to be because my MCAT score is not that good. And so when I got to medical school, I kind of just decided to just throw that out the way and not listen to that and really just determine that I wanted to do better than what I did on the other standardized tests. And so the trends I've saw in medical school has really nothing to do with people's MCAT score. It's just kind of the same situation as from high school to college. If you have good SAT or ACT scores in high school, you're more prepared usually to do better in college, but that's not necessarily a direct correlation. Everyone starts from scratch, and so you still have to put in the same amount of work, you still have to change your study habits, and so things continue to change. You have to evolve as a person, and your study habits have to evolve. You have to have that passion, and you have to remain focused. And so that's one thing that I would just tell you guys, especially for those who MCAT score is probably not the highest. Don't be discouraged at that. Don't feel like you cannot be the best doctor or you can still be at the top of your class. Just go in with confidence and know that you're starting at a clean slate and you can do well on classes and you can do well on your USMLE. So, all right, so the number 3 thing is everyone is smart in medical school. So I know everyone kind of come in on their top of their class, they're doing well. Some people really didn't have to study and they still made A's, or they studied the day before the test and got A's. Guess what? All that kind of goes to the waste now. Medical school, you're really taking all the smartest people from around the nation and sitting them in one class. And so you shouldn't be discouraged or mad because you're getting a B or you're kind of in the middle of the pack, even if you feel like you deserve an A. I know some people in my class, they study all the time and they would just kind of be discouraged and mad. I'm like, why am I making these grades and things like that? But you got to understand that everyone is smart. And so you really just have to put that into the bigger picture and just do the best you can. And if that means just you're in the middle of the pack, that's okay. Everyone is smart, and at the end of the day, you're going to be a doctor. So the number 4 thing is certain fields recommend or highly suggest that you take research. That's one thing that I really did not know coming into medical school. And so coming into medical school, I have done 0 research. One of the big things was a big misconception that I had about research. So in undergrad, when I was thinking of research, I was thinking of playing with mouse, pipetting, things that I thought that were kind of boring. And so I never did any research. But when I got to medical school, I realized that certain fields, research is a heavy emphasis, especially if you want to match to doing those residency programs. And so getting involved in research a lot of times is pretty essential. And so one of the key times where you have a lot of time to do research is between some of your first year and your second year. And so if you have an idea of what you want to do and it's competitive, or if you don't have any idea what you want to do, but it could be some competitive, I would really recommend you do some research between your first and second year, or try to do some type of research within medical school. And research is used kind of very broadly. It doesn't have to be the bench research. In medical school, there's a lot of clinical research you can get involved in, clinical studies, or there's quality improvement type research. There's so many opportunities in research when you're in medical school. And what I've noticed for myself, because I just started doing research actually last week, is it's a lot more relevant now. I feel like when you're in medical school, you can actually see the research you're doing. You can see how this can have an effect on your patients and in just your overall intellectual capacity. And that's one thing I really didn't see as an undergrad. I didn't see how I was going to really benefit from the research. But in medical school, it's totally different. You can see how you're really working like hand in hand. Now you can see how you can personally affect medicine. And so that's one thing I did not know going into medical school, but I encourage everyone to at least try research. Try it out. If you don't love it, don't continue to do it. Don't just do it just to put on your CV, but at least try it out, and you never know, you may love it. So the number 5 thing is there are a lot of scholarships for medical school. I know in undergrad there's all these websites with different scholarships, and everyone kind of knows the scholarships for undergrad, but no one really knows about how many scholarships there really are for medical school. Or if you do know about scholarships, you're really just thinking about the scholarships that your school offers. But there are a whole bunch of scholarships that are online. You just have to kind of look for them. But the key is most of these scholarships are for first-year medical students. And so whenever I found out about a lot of these scholarships, I was already a second year or a third year, and at that point I was no longer eligible. And so the key thing is to, whenever you first get accepted into medical school, just do some Google searches, or also talk to the faculty or talk to the school to let them know if they have any scholarships that the school offers, and also any universal scholarship that you can apply for. And so those are just some of the 5 things that I would say that I wish I'd known before going into medical school.